Hello. I don't know who Grant Fisher is. I'm glad you like the lighting. Hi, horses. Oh, yeah, the Super Bowl's happening right now. Is there a big overlap between Mr. Girl fans and football fans? Wait, should I? I probably should have. This is like a major American holiday? Well, baby's here. Everybody seems here. Okay. Yeah, you like the dim light? I could turn this one on. Oh, it's halftime? This is the halftime show. Ooh, I don't know. That's not too bad. Mr. Deep State. Does it still look dark? I can, I think it's alright. Super Bowl and Mr. Girl simultaneously. Nice. Max is in full darkroom pedo mode. Yeah, baby. High Horses comes from a song in the Silence of the Lambs called Goodbye Horses, in which the killer dances around. Well, you should just watch the movie. But it's kind of the unofficial theme song of my video essays called Mr. Girl Splaining, which you should check out if you're into that kind of thing. This will be my lowest viewership. That's okay. A more intimate gathering is probably suitable for advice and confessions anyway. You know what? The Girl Scout just dropped it off. I don't know. Maybe Shaylin talked to her, but I didn't actually get to meet her. We saw a sign with like a QR code where you could scan it and then order Girl Scouts from your local Girl Scout. And this little bitch took like 2 weeks to deliver our cookies. And like so, like when Shayla and I go on walks in our neighborhood, I've been screaming out this Girl Scout's name, being like, "Where the fuck are the cookies?" So I don't know if she heard me or what, but they're here now. Yeah, this is the ride or die group. I'm not rooting for a team. Ooh, oops. I don't care about football. You getting annoyed at peeps getting impatient with the new vid, even though it's only been like 2 weeks? Yeah, I don't understand. What's the big deal here? I feel like I made this pretty fast. I mean, when you watch it, I mean, I'm a pretty fast editor. I think I'm a fast editor. Like when I used to do editing jobs and charge by the day, like people would just pay me for 2 days and one day. Like I would just get the shit done and be like, here, and they're like, oh, okay, here, you know. I think it will be up in like 12 hours. Um, yeah, I gotta check my shirt. I only have to. You'd think I would have my shit together. I only have to have a shirt and 3 buttons buttoned to be dressed for work. All else is optional, and yet I still can't fucking get my shit together. Live stream frogs don't understand that real content takes actual time to produce. Yeah, man. The time to create this live stream is going to be longer than the fucking Dr. K video, and I'll probably make more money from it, and it'll take literally the time it takes to make it will be right now. It's crazy. This live streaming business it's a scam. You're being scammed. You shouldn't watch streamers. You should just watch edited content. That just means people like what you do. Well, that's true. That's a nice way to say it. Although I think some people who don't like me are also asking where the video is. You're too similar to infrared. I'll work on that. You do all your own editing? I do. I do. It's still the weekend. It will be done over the weekend. I anticipate it being done late tonight. The weekend isn't over till Monday at 9 a.m. Thank goodness Mr. Girl is on. Well, I'm on every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Is it possible the video will make more money over years than this stream? I guess, but I've probably spent like 50 hours on the video already, you know? That's 25 advice and confession streams. So per hour, editing something is a real, I don't know. Also, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to run ads on it because it's so fucked up. Right, yeah, I just want to see it because I don't want to comb through all Dr. K's stuff. Yeah, because people are too fucking lazy to comb through his stuff. So everybody's got a fucking opinion on Dr. K, but nobody's really sifted through this shit. Except Slush, but Slush fucked up his video. I don't like Slush's video. Do I think Dr. K will watch the video? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe you're at the cusp of hiring out your editing work. No, I think editing is my artistic fingerprint that I handcraft every Mr. Girl video. I don't want to hire that out. I might hire out stream editing work, but like this shit, I mean, like I'm kind of okay. Oh, I should start recording. I'm kind of okay with just uploading the file as it is. Here. I think it'll take between 12 and 24 hours. I'm not going to paywall it on Patreon. I've not sunk to that depth. I don't think I will. I don't like the idea of creating FOMO or paywalling content. Is Dr. K reacting to my video on his stream tomorrow? Probably not. Probably not. The video is not complete. No. It's probably like 60%. I haven't filmed anything that I have to film. I haven't done any of the voiceover. It's probably like 60% edited. I'm just going to edit it really fast. Yeah, my streams are advertisements for my videos. That's right. That's right. Okay. I'm going to have to go pretty quickly after 10 o'clock Eastern because I really have to finish this video. Do I think it'll come out this month? It's gonna come out in like 12 to 18 hours. That's my guess. All right, baby. I'm ready for our first guest. Chat, I'm hiding you until I finish talking to this person.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I have two confessions.
Okay.
Should I say what they are, or should we do one and then the other?
Let's do one and then the other.
Okay, cool. I don't think I've said this sentence aloud before, but I never confronted the person that I had a relationship with who molested my sister.
You were dating somebody who molested your sister?
Sorry, I had a familial relationship.
Okay, okay. You just don't want to. You're saying you're being vague to.
Yes, sorry.
I got you. Not dox them or yourself.
Correct.
Okay.
This happened when we were young. And then we kind of moved away from that family. But we sort of kept contact. And several years later, me and my sister kind of had a bad relationship, and so then I didn't really see her very much. And then this other family that I sort of had contact with and had always treated me really well. You know, we sort of, would talk to each other once a year, maybe something like that. Um, but eventually, when I was older, I decided to go back and see them. And it was kind of strange at first because I just kind of wanted to go and like see what it was like and like what they were like. Um, and they just never really ever wanted to like talk about it or bring it up. And whenever I was hanging out with the guy, he would always just be very friendly and very loving towards me. And he just never wanted to even acknowledge my sister ever. Um, and it was just, I could never find like the right time to like say something, I guess. And so this has always kind of been on the back of my head whenever I interact with them.
Your sister doesn't interact with him
My sister does not interact with them, no,
because of this or because of like other
because of
tensions.
this. Um, they also don't like my mom um, because she obviously wanted to defend my sister. We were both like pretty young when this happened. And my mom explained it to me when I was at the time, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." But I've had mixed feelings over the years because on the one hand, these people were always very kind to me, um, but on the other hand, there's this horrible thing in the background which feels like they've always been in denial of, and I think there are other problems that they have, sort of revolving around denial of different things. Um, and it's just I'm a very non-confrontational person, so this has always been something that has just been looming in the background. And so I think I sometimes I avoid talking to them. Um, I still hang out with them from time to time, but I have my own busy life, so I have a much better relationship with my sister now, um, and I try to help her out from time to time. But we also can be distant at times.
It seems like you're pretty tuned into like what everybody else is feeling in this situation. So you might
Okay.
want to think about how you feel. I'm not saying right now, but just like as an approach,
hmm
it seems like you're sort of weighing between like,
I've always felt very diplomatic.
yeah, that's not really a feeling though. You know what I mean? Like,
hmm
yeah, I get, yeah, I see what you're saying. You're sort of you're sort of seeing yourself as a non-emotional force in this
Yes,
equation.
correct.
I don't think that is really fair to you.
Okay.
You're being, you're you have been and are being put in a pretty strange situation,
Yeah, I would say so.
a pretty emotionally provocative situation, and it seems like it
My
may be that
strategy has been to avoid emotion.
yeah, well that makes sense, but um, it'll get you into some pretty weird situations where you're trying to. The problem. I mean, there's a lot of problems with not knowing what you're feeling, but the problem in this situation, it's one of the problems. It seems like you're trying to use everybody else's sense of like normalcy or like what should be happening as a kind of barometer for what you think and what you feel or how you should be acting.
Okay.
But when you have like a reality break where one person is in total denial and another person is in or multiple people are in like emotional agony about something,
Yeah.
you can't really just take the temperature of the room and then kind of go on the average.
Right.
Um, and so it's going to be really hard to navigate if you don't know how you feel.
I guess. Yeah. I tend to want good, like, I want people to, be the best that they can be, even if they've made mistakes, um, in general. So, I don't know. I tend to avoid, like, blanket labeling people as, like, good or bad. And I tend
Okay,
to.
the way you're telling the story makes it sound like there is no debate about whether or not this occurred. Is that true? Or is it the person that who the molester is a known
Mhm.
molester by all? There's no denial that this happened. This is just
I think there is
yeah,
denial. There's definitely
okay,
denial.
okay.
I think
So
this person
is that factoring into
themselves was in denial.
was in denial that it happened? Like, are they claiming to not have done it?
Well, they never claimed anything.
My point is, do you believe your sister?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, so all that's up for kind of like the only things you're kind of moving around in your head at this point are should you say something or should you have said something, and what would this person's reaction be?
Yeah.
Um, if the way you navigate kind of familial conflict is by sort of taking the temperature of the people in the room and then sort of facilitating,
Hmm.
I can see why in a situation where you are the black sheep, um, you wouldn't want to say or do anything.
It's interesting that you say black sheep.
I mean, if you're the only person in the room who thinks this person molested your sister, and you know it, you know that it's true, you're the outcast. And like, if
Mm.
everybody else just pretends it didn't happen, or actually believes it didn't happen, it would be if you were to say something or you felt you wanted to say something, you would be the one shattering the peace and the calm in the room
Mm.
because
Well,
there's no peace and calm for you, obviously.
there's no peace and calm for my mother or my sister.
I thought okay. My understanding was that when you spend time with this family, your mother and sister are not there.
Correct. Usually, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So when I say in the room, I mean
Yeah.
literally the room.
Literally in the room.
So
Okay, yeah.
yeah. So when you're with that side of your family,
Hmm.
there's everyone else. You would be the wrecking ball
Mm. Yes,
if you were to say
that's true.
something.
If I were to say something, yeah, it's conflict is scary. Yeah.
Yeah, and that takes a lot of awareness of and confidence in your own emotional experience to be willing to be willing to inflict that on everyone around you, regardless of how righteous it is.
Mm.
I also think it might be worth looking at this through the lens of you being a victim of this
Okay.
abuse. I think that um, the message you're sent is not. I would never hurt you because you're my family. You were a child. You're protected for all these boundaries that are there in place to protect children from adults.
Yeah.
That's not what protected you. I just didn't happen to feel like it. If I had had the urge, then I would have abused you too. You're just not my type, and
Hmm.
um, that sends you a very scary, similar message to what is sent by actually being the victim yourself. And I think that
I've always
um,
been. I've always found. So something that happens a lot in this particular family is like people say they love each other a lot,
yeah,
and I've always been very confused by that. Um, because in this other family, emotions tend to run high as well.
yeah,
Um, and so I've always found that very confusing. Um, to sort of have somebody like this guy always act very lovingly towards me, but then treat other people very poorly and treat himself very poorly, I think. I don't know if that came out right. Um,
it's gonna be confusing if you don't know what's going on with you because everyone
okay.
else is everyone else is lying to you. Like if you're in a
That's the way
system
it
where
seems. That's the
I
way it
mean, yeah,
seems to me. Yeah.
it's gonna make you feel crazy because everyone else is lying, but it sounds like they're actually lying.
Um, I think that sometimes people convince themselves of things.
That's fine. I'm not saying malicious lying, but like either
Okay.
way, if you're the only person who knows or is willing to know the truth
I'm not the only person.
in the oh sorry on that side of the
There's
family.
there's a younger sibling who kind of knows, but I don't know if they ever talk to anyone about it.
Have you ever been to therapy?
Once,
One session or one therapist?
one session. Well, actually, that's not true. I went to a group therapy session with my mom and sister once,
I think you
one
should
other
go to.
time.
I think you should go to therapy
Yeah.
specifically in this case because it's like exactly designed for what your problem is. Where
Okay.
the therapist takes on your role. The therapist takes on the role of the blank slate, who is taking the temperature of the room and is allowing you to fill up the space with your thoughts and your feelings, which is what you are doing with everybody else.
Yeah,
It
I
would
think
be
that
like,
was.
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's probably something I learned growing up to how to do.
Yeah,
My mom had a lot of emotions.
yeah, it sounds like it.
Because she had experience with sexual assault as well.
Yeah. And now she's making her the thing with your sister into her own thing, and then you're trying to take care of them, but I'm sure you kind of resent that, and then you're over there on the other side, and it's like you're free from that dynamic, but then it's still in the back of your mind. It's a mess, and like you are not going to be able to navigate this successfully without getting to know yourself better. And I would strongly recommend therapy as a way, as a place where you can learn how to not be um, pushed around by everybody else's narratives about everything.
Um, Maybe, yeah. I I have my own narrative in my head, but I rarely share it with other people, I think.
You're saying that you are not pushed around
I'm pushed around, definitely, but I don't
only on the
I
outside.
don't change my opinions. I only on the outside, yeah.
I see.
Like I'll, I'll facilitate whatever, but I'll make up my own mind.
Well, that'll probably make therapy easier because if you know more about what you're thinking and feeling, then it'll be easier to make the connection between like what you actually are doing and the
I think I know what I
boundaries.
think, but I don't always know how I feel. Feelings feel very distant to me at times.
Therapy. I can't
Yeah,
recommend it enough.
I've heard.
And you'll hear it again. Okay, what's the second
Sounds
confession?
good. Second question is I once thought that, or I had this, okay, I'll just say it. I think that I don't really care when other people die. And I've suspected this about myself for some time, but it took several experiences for me to think this about myself. There was one time that um, there was a neighbor that I didn't really know, um, and I had this suspicion that he was going to kill himself. Um, and for some reason, I just didn't feel like I had to do anything about it. And then after he did kill himself, I didn't feel bad at all.
Um, Based on the dynamics in your family you've already talked about, and
Hmm.
and in this brief time, you can see why you would take a position of other people's problems are not your problem emotionally, of why you would get to a place of that kind of detachment and self protection.
Hmm. But you don't think that's the place I should end up?
It depends on where you want to end up. I guess,
Mm.
yeah, I guess I've been telling you this whole time where I want you to end up, but that if you don't want to be there, then you don't have to. But
Mm.
um, I don't want to end up there. And yeah, I don't want you to end up there. I don't know what you should do.
Well, you told me to go to therapy.
I know, but the therapist is going to also tell you, like, if you tell a therapist you don't care when people die,
Hmm.
they're going to think that's a defense mechanism. And they're going to
Okay.
think they're going to think it's a maladaptive defense mechanism that is going to end up at the time it was developed was good for you and protected you from getting sucked into some really weird shit in your
Yeah.
family. And now they're going to say it's time for you to spend some time in some healthier relationships and to open yourself up more and kind of let people tug and pull you emotionally in different directions. And that maybe it's okay to start getting more in touch with how you're feeling in some safer situations, particularly with a therapist. I would guess that's kind of the direction they would go in. But there is a value judgment there of like, yeah, spending your whole life like numb is not ideal. So I will own that. I mean, you
Okay,
you already know I think that. So,
sure. I
and I
think
assume most
I
therapists
think
will.
that death doesn't have to be sad though.
I would say it definitionally it does. I mean, it almost is the. I would say someone I someone I know or love is dead is like is almost the origin of sadness. I don't know what sadness is if it's not that.
Well, sadness can be suffering while you're alive.
Yeah, but most suffering is like loss. Look, what are
What
you
about
trying to
loss of
convince
a
me? What are
burden?
you trying to convince me of that you're not emotionally? You just said you're emotionally repressed, and now you're saying, hey, maybe death isn't sad. Well, maybe it is.
Okay.
Maybe it is sad. Maybe like, what do you like? Do you think that you're gonna convince me of that? And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess.
No,
Maybe
I don't think
maybe
I'm.
I'll stop being sad too.
No, no, no. I just think there can be more than sadness.
There can. That's true. I'm not saying you have to fucking break down crying because your neighbor died.
Hmm.
I'm saying that from the everything you've told me, you just sound like you are very emotionally walled off. And so
Hmm.
what you're confessing as like a sort of sociopathic secret doesn't I don't think there's something like inherently wrong with you when you say that. It just seems
Hmm.
like you're a bit protected.
Okay.
Double therapy.
Double therapy. Wow.
Well, yeah, one for each of your confessions. That's your sentence. I sentence you to therapy.
Shit.
Yeah.
All right. Sentence you to death.
Well, we're all sentenced to death.
That's why I said it.
Yeah.
But I hope it's a good one.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm gonna take the next caller.
All right. Take care.
You too. So I looked up therapy costs and I can't financially afford it. Does that mean I'm just kind of fucked? No. Um, you can find sliding scale. You can find people who are doing their practice hours. There's a organization called Healthy Gamer. No, I'm just kidding. Um, I would Google this problem. Um, yeah, therapy is expensive. When I first started going to therapy, I had to spend a large portion of my income on it. Do you have any plans for ambient music for the stream? I might write some intro music, but probably not during the stream. Maybe some spaceship sounds. Like the hum, like the Enterprise engine, and some beeping. I could see that. Do I think conservatives are bad people? No. I don't think any political group is made of bad people. I don't even know if I really believe in bad people. When does the Dr. K video drop? Well, I believe it's going to drop in the next 12 to 18 hours, depending on how quickly I can edit this shit. I'm really feeling the pressure here. I've really staked a lot. My reputation's on the line. Edit. I gotta film it first. This stuff I gotta film. I gotta record. I gotta edit. I gotta put it all together. I gotta color correct. I gotta do some audio work. The audio's getting let's. The audio is gonna be a little messy on this one. I gotta upload it. I gotta get Jimmy to watch it. I gotta get Jimmy to approve it or give me notes to fix. I gotta make a thumbnail. I think I can do all that in the next like 12 hours though. Are we gonna have a watch party? I don't know. I don't want to really. I don't. For this video, I think it feels a little slimy. I want to be careful. I don't even think I'm gonna premiere it. I think I'm just gonna post it. For a big video like this, I do like to do a little bit more fanfare, but I feel like given the subject matter, I don't think it's gonna feel right. Just release it next Monday then? No. Take an extra day if you need to. No. Do not blame Jimmy. I don't know. Whatever Jimmy, if Jimmy puts his foot down and says this shit's too boring, you gotta cut another 30 minutes out of this, which he is. He does that from time to time. Then I will. If Jimmy gives a complete no, he vetoes the whole video, then I just won't post it. I think if Jimmy really didn't like it, it would be a conditional thing though. This is a main channel video. How long is your Dr. K vid? I think the last time I looked at it was like an hour and 15 minutes, but I still got a little more shit to put in there, so it's gonna at least be an hour. Is it true the video is 35 hours long? Not quite. I'd like to meet Jimmy. Jimmy's a wonderful man. I'm stuck in a door on the Discord. I accepted the memes, but I cannot see the server. You reacted to the thing? I don't know. Did you verify your phone number? Jimmy exists. Don't talk to me. Jimmy is the editor-in-chief of the mrgirl channel. So Jimmy's job is to say no. Jimmy's a no man. So everything I make goes through the Jimmy filter, and if Jimmy doesn't like it, I don't post it. Jimmy says it's too long, I make it shorter. If he says it's too boring, I make it more interesting. That's it. Is Jimmy political at all? Not particularly. Favorite Todd Solondz movie? Obviously Happiness. Is there really a question? Not to insult Todd Solondz's other work, but I think Happiness and I have a special... We click. That movie is very special to me. 1 hour 15, but needs more edits. This video is not coming out today. I think you underestimate how quickly I edit shit. Okay. Jimmy is like Tony the Finger from The Shining. He kind of is. Okay, baby, I'm ready for the next caller. You underestimate my power. That's right. All right, chat. I'll see you after this. Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
Okay, I had to mute the stream. So, I have a confession and an advice.
Okay.
Um, so I'm 33 now, and this happened when I was like 18-ish, I think. Um, I was hanging out with my buddy, and his dad, and my buddy's dad, kind of like a creepy, crazy dude who just like lived in the basement and like never came out. He went to the store and he got us a big fifth of like really cheap rum. And I got drunk for like the second time in my life. We were supposed to go see the fireworks and stuff, and instead we drank and we were going upstairs to go play Guitar Hero, and I lost probably 4 or 5 hours. And when I woke up, um, there was a chick who was my buddy's friend on top of me, like making out with me super duper hard. And my buddy was having sex with his girlfriend on his bed by the couch. And like just sort of coming to, I just assumed that it was my girlfriend, I guess. Just not fully understanding the situation. And like I'm making out with her. And I suppose at like a certain point, I sort of figured out that she wasn't, the size proportions weren't the same and all that. So but I tried to like make a move. I tried to put my hand in her pants. She pulled out, said no. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And you know how like sometimes like the movements change,
Can you
and it
can we hold on a second?
oh yeah,
When you say you lost 4 or 5 hours,
yeah, that's like the only time in my life that I've ever like blacked out from drinking.
okay, so you're saying you were so drunk that you blacked out.
Yeah, it was like we were headed up the stairs, and then all of a sudden it was nighttime, and like I was in a different spot.
Okay, okay. So you're drunk and you're trying to
Yeah, when
make
I
a
woke
move.
up,
You're trying to put the
yeah,
moves on this girl who you're already making out with.
yeah, like she's on top of
Okay,
me making out, and
okay.
so she pulled her hand out. I said, no, now that's fine. We can keep on doing what we're doing, and then like like when something like that happens and like the moves change, like the body language changes, like things get a little more smushy and grabby.
Uh huh.
So then I tried again, and she said no, and it was fine. And a couple more minutes in, I sort of got overwhelmed by the whole situation. Like my buddy is having sex with his girlfriend, and like I see that it's dark outside, and like I don't really know this chick. Like just reality sort of sets in. So I just kind of like pushed her off. I mean, not like violently or anything. And I got up and I left. I called somebody to take me home, and I went home. And the next day when I went to high school, that girl told one of my friends who was a girl that I had tried to rape her. And her friend who was there, my buddy's girlfriend, they were, and him and my friend who was a girl were all really, really mean to her. She never confronted me about it. They were all like, that definitely didn't happen. Like the other two were like, we were there. That's definitely not what happened. And I certainly didn't feel like it happened that way. And I was really angry that I was accused of doing that. And I certainly said nasty things to my friends about her, like, like, well, who the fuck does she think she is? Like, she was on top of me. Like, like I stopped. I misinterpreted the next part, but I stopped again. And, but now as times come to pass, like, I, I feel like I probably, like, I understand that she feels that way, that she had a right to feel that way. Um, and I've never reached out to contact her or anything. Like, I feel really bad about that situation and how that played out. I don't think that like I'm owed the right to tell her that I'm sorry. I don't feel like it's okay for me to like inject myself into her life now at this point and say like, hey, I'm sorry for how that played out afterwards. You had a right to feel that way, and things like that. Even though I still don't feel like that's what I was trying to do. I know that's not what I was trying to do. And that would be my confession part of it. And then I had an advice.
Is it related?
Um, no,
Okay.
it's not. Um, but I guess I wouldn't mind hearing what you thought about that situation, though. My thoughts
Okay.
on it are kind of complicated, I
Disorganized,
guess. Yeah.
scattered.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you reach out to her, you make it sound like that means you think she owes you. What if you're just asking her for something?
Um, I don't think that I'm. Yeah, I guess I would be asking for her to
Help you.
hear that I regret that me and her friends reacted that way instead of coming to her with some sort of understanding. Um,
But you're asking
and
her
try to
for
at least.
you'd be asking her for help.
Yeah, yeah, I did. Yeah, in a way, yeah. I don't feel like I'm owed that.
Are you is there a reason you can't ask for help even if you're not owed it?
I guess the concern would be the amount of harm that it might come to her if I did that. Like if she still
D-
feels that way, that's basically like to her that would be like her abuser like re-entering her life. That would be my main concern.
It yeah. Um are you friends on Okay, let me let's back up here.
Okay.
Um you're worried that by even asking her for help, you would be somehow re-traumatizing her or something like that.
I think that I understand that there's a potential for that. Yeah.
And so you're thinking the more noble choice might be to just carry this.
I don't know if I think about it in terms of nobility. Like I'm a moral philosophy nerd, so sometimes when things get complicated, I just sort of get stuck when I don't know what I think the right thing to do is. It's like there's like a really weird value assessment here, and it's just sort of like my brain's in gridlock about it. Does that make sense?
Yes. I the your need to one drunkenly try to have sex with somebody and your need to ask that person to talk to you about it later seem to not be weighed very highly in this calculation that you're making.
Yeah, I would say that the harm caused to me is probably smaller than the harm that was caused to her that night. Especially if she's like willing to reach out to people that were close to her and me about it, because I know that she knew that she was at least risking something by saying that, which I definitely didn't understand then.
But how long ago was this?
Uh, oh, geez, like 15 years ago. It seems like I
Yeah,
think so.
right. You
Yeah,
said you're 33, right?
yeah.
And you think that she might still be thinking about this as well?
If that's how she felt at the time, I think it's fair to assume that that kind of stuff sticks with people. Like it stuck
Yeah,
with me just hearing that she felt that way. So if she
sure.
felt that way, like my God.
Yeah. Do you think you have a moral obligation to yourself?
Uh yeah. I would say so, and that kind of is what the advice is about too.
Okay, what's the advice question?
So particularly, I think that you're a great person to ask advice for about this. My question would be, or my advice is, I guess a little bit of explanation. So I'm married now, and I've been with my wife for 10 years, and I've noticed that sometimes I don't always notice when it's happening, but I violate some of her boundaries, and she doesn't speak up. Not like anything like nothing violent or sexual or anything like that, but like it's important to me to respect them. Um, but they're not always super obvious to me. And I also notice that while I really like stand my ground on some of my boundaries, I don't know if I'm formulating them very well or expressing them very well to myself and to her, but I get very hurt when they end up getting violated. And sometimes, but not always, I react strongly in ways that I wish that I didn't uh, when my boundaries are violated. They, even the ones that I wasn't aware of, like let's say I understand like, oh, that's a boundary for me, and then that gets crossed, and like if I snap or lash out about it, I guess it's just a confusing situation on the ones on mine that get violated. But when I violate hers and I realize that I did afterwards, that's a tough pill to swallow. I recently asked her if she could write down like in a clear language what her boundaries are, so that way I have a better idea. Like if I read something, it's going to be more clear to me because I don't have to deal with like the background noise of like my brain running while she's telling me them.
Yeah. Um, I don't know if that's really okay.
So I can be a hard person to talk to.
Mm,
I ask a lot of questions. I ask for a lot of clarifiers, and it makes people feel insecure about what they're saying to me. I don't mean to. I just want to make sure that I understand.
yeah. Look,
Mhm.
buddy. Um, I don't. I think you're trying to circumvent a problem.
Okay.
The problem
Yeah,
being
sure.
that your wife does not hold boundaries. So when someone else has boundaries, it's not
Hmm.
your job to hold them. Like, I can ask you to respect my boundaries. There are things you could start saying to me that would make me end the call. There's things I could start saying to you that would make you end the call, right?
Sure.
And like, to not be like kind of an asshole, it's my job, both of our jobs, to not say things that we think are going to make the other person so upset or feel so violated that they have to stop talking. But ultimately, um, it is your job to end the call, uh, to maintain your own boundaries. Like
Yeah, when I know it
at
is, I do.
right, like at its base, a boundary is you telling somebody, if you cross this line, I'm out. I'm out of the conversation. I'm out of the relationship. I'm out of engaging with you in this way. I'm out of whatever we agreed to do, whatever it is. It's you
Hmm.
saying, I will remove myself from the situation so that you no longer can cross the line in whatever way I have to do to protect myself. That's what a boundary is.
Hmm.
It's not you have to figure out where my line is and stay on your side of it. And if you cross it, you're not going to know until hours later or days later, or you'll never know. I'll just be wounded about it. That's not a boundary. That if that's what happens, the person has not actually set a boundary. So
Okay.
for your wife to hold her boundaries, you don't need to know what they are. It'll certainly make your relationship go better if you do. But
Hmm.
if you had to choose, either she tells you her boundaries in a list and it's your job to make sure you never cross them, Or you don't know what they are. You don't have to really worry about what they are, because when you run into one, she'll just say, "Hey, this is a boundary for me. So I'm going to, I can't keep talking about this because you're breaking my boundaries."
She doesn't do that a lot, though.
Well, that's what I'm
Uh,
saying is the problem, she's not holding her boundaries.
yeah, I agree.
And I don't know that you doing it for her, and to tie it back to your high school victim here,
Hmm.
you're also trying to figure out her boundaries as well and hold those for her. You're trying to find out, like, if I contact her, does she never want to talk to me again? Does she never want to
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about this again? You're trying to figure that out for her, and um, whether that's your job or not seems to be really confusing for you.
I guess that's a really fair assessment of what I'm saying.
And so, like, when you tell people about this, I think you're going to get either the response of, like, yeah, you should be careful, or, like, no, fuck her. It's not your job. And I don't know that me, if you're trying to get, I know you've seen me scream at my girlfriend.
Yeah, I'm a
You
big
know what
fan.
yeah, I'm sure you are. You know what I think about this. And I'm sure it's very cathartic to watch me just ball Shaylin up into a little mushy thing and just squish it as hard as I can. I'm sure it feels good for me. I like watching it too. Well, we all do. But at the end of
It
the
confuses
day,
me a little.
I'm sure. Well, sure.
But go on.
But at the end of the day, it's ultimately the same problem. If I get you all worked up and then send you off to go confront this girl for falsely accusing you, and she was making out with you when you were blacked out, like there's all kinds of arguments that you can make to convince yourself that you have a moral imperative to go have this conversation, and like, fuck your wife. She's breaking your boundaries by not setting her boundary. Like there's all, and I'm sure you know what they are because you've heard me scream them at Jalen. But I think more important than what you do with either of these situations is that you are having trouble with other people, maybe with other women especially, figuring out um, what are the rules, what are the boundaries, and being scared of what happens when you break them. I don't know that it is a moral consideration you're making. I think that you're afraid that you're going to get guilt tripped, or you're afraid that you are going to be hurt by the counterattack, that someone's going to lash out at you, that someone's going to tell you, don't ever fucking talk to me again, you piece of shit, and block you on Facebook, which would hurt you. And, or that your wife is going to, if you cross the line, like, what happens to you? And I would look at the origin of that. I feel like this is probably not just these two incidents, probably goes way back, and I suggest you go to therapy.
So, do you think that I'm using the idea of other people's boundaries as a mask for me being my desire to protect myself?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that you have long been taught that you have to figure out what other people are okay and not okay with. Like, ideally, boundaries are set with love. So, like,
Yeah.
ideally, you would say to your partner or wife or whoever, um, like, I'm saying no to you. I still love you. We're still okay, but I'm not gonna go along with this. And like, that's my decision, and I've made my decision. And so here are our options, and like, blah blah. And you'd like firm guidelines and boundaries set by parents. Ideally, you would have firm guidelines where you know where you stand with the person, and a fear of abandonment or a fear of reprisal or fear of getting guilt tripped or getting hit or whatever the fuck it is that we are threatened with. That is not part of the like boundary setting. It's just like, hey, you know, I love you, but I'm saying no.
Okay. Yeah,
And
our relationship is overall really, really positive. Um,
I don't give a
but yeah, I think that makes
I don't give
sense.
a fuck.
Sorry, I was just working it out. Yeah, I got you.
Well, what if
I
part of your relationship? I mean, you're a very thoughtful guy. So if I had you in my relationship tracking all my boundaries for me and maintaining them and making lists and shit, and I'm sure my relationship would feel really positive too. So it may be that and this might be kind of where you're stuck, that in solving these problems you have to make things a bit shitty for other people. It might be that you decide that you have to message this girl out of the blue and say, "Hey, fuckface, remember when you accused me of raping you while you made out with me while I was blacked out? What the fuck was up with that? Like, do I really have to carry this shit around for 15 years because you were too fucking ashamed of yourself?" Or, like, this could lead to all kinds of chaos. Who knows what things would be like if you stopped carrying the weight of other people's boundaries? I don't know what would happen. I don't know what message you would or would not need to send this person. That's just what I would say to this person. If I could possess you for 10 minutes, that's what I would do. But that's not you. So I
I
would
do think I fantasize about being shitty and enforcing my boundaries sometimes.
being shitty and enforcing your boundaries.
Yeah, just like really like, for lack of a better term, like laying down the law and just saying this is how it is. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's like a thing that I play in my head sometimes. But it also conflicts a little bit with the way that I see myself. But I don't know if that's necessarily wrong either.
Well, you're a nice guy until you're not.
Yeah.
But this might help with that too. Like if you're having outbursts, like angry outbursts where you're just like, "All right, bitch, you crossed the line one too many fucking times." And then you're both just terrified of how you're screaming for a little bit and then everything returns back to normal. I don't like I think that um if you are monitoring and holding other people's boundaries for them and you want to get out of doing that, that's going to mean that you have to kind of burden other people with that responsibility and say, like, you may find it traumatic to be messaged by a guy who didn't rape you 15 years later. That's not really my problem.
Okay.
Or you you may find that your feelings about this girl are not actually about this girl and that it's a misplaced thing about some other relationships from your past where you felt like you had to caretake people and tiptoe around and avoid landmines. I don't know, but I think I so like basically I don't have advice specific to these two situations. It's more
Sure.
like it's more like advice like you seem like you are monitoring and maintaining other people's boundaries for them, particularly women. And if you want to stop doing that, I think you should go to therapy before you snap. Because
I'm actively working on that.
well, great. Because in therapy, the therapist's only job is to hold boundaries. Like that's their main foundational job is to let you try to run into boundaries and let you kind of run around and like be yourself and then they redirect you or stop you when you get to like the edge. And it can be a way to and to help you hold your boundaries. It's just like a really safe place to learn about boundaries.
Yeah, it was good when I went, but then I like quote unquote graduated. They said I didn't need to come anymore, but that was probably 10, 12 years ago. No, maybe a little longer than that, even 13, 14 years ago. So I appreciate it. I won't take up more of your time. I know you gave me a lot of it. I appreciate all the stuff you
Wait,
do.
are you
Your
do you
album
I heard
streaming.
a door. Are you saying you have to go?
No, 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 no. I just
You are
I
no,
just know
don't
that I've
fucking
been here
lie
for
to
a
me.
while.
Don't ever lie to me. You
No,
have to go. No, shut the
Max,
fuck
I do
up.
not have to
Don't
go.
shut up. Shut
Okay.
up.
So my
What
roommate
I
left.
okay. I'm worried that you want to leave and you're saying that I want you to leave. You're making it my boundary. When you're
Oh, I could talk
done,
to you all night.
well, I can't. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
This
yeah, yeah.
we're running out of time here, so I'm gonna have to. I'm just saying that's like an example of like when you just say to people like, "Oh, I don't want to take up too much of your time." That kind of thinking is like you're making your boundary the other person's boundary. It's all confusing. Let me just if I want you off the call, I'll fucking tell you when I'm done. You don't have to tell me when I'm done. You know?
I guess that's pretty reflective of like exactly what you were just telling me. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a sick puppy.
Huh. That might have been the most enlightening part of this whole conversation right there. I didn't think about it like that. Yeah, that's a real eye opener. Because I absolutely was worried that maybe you might be getting irritated with how long I was talking for, and that's not right because you're Max Carson, you're Mr. Girl, you got shit to do and places to be, and like who the hell am I? And I'm literally perpetuating exactly what you just told me to not do.
Yeah, but right. And so like
Huh.
especially on a call-in show, like literally like some the host of the call-in show has to just kick people off when they're done hosting them. And you may not want to endure the experience of hitting that boundary and having me say, "Hey, like let's stop talking, time for the next caller." And like if you're avoiding it to not experience that, like I understand, but I do think it is like it's a good example of there might be something that you find really unpleasant about or scary about running into a boundary. And I assume it is because you've had experience with something horrible happening when you do. And the horrible thing might be that the person doesn't tell you, and then later you find out that they were really hurt or upset with you because you crossed it. Or at this point in your life, it might be that the horrible thing is you just never know. You never know if you crossed a boundary. The person
It does
never
scare
tells
me.
you. And you're haunted for 15 years or whatever. And it seems like with your wife, what you're asking her to do is like, can you make me feel like I am safe? Can you make me feel like I am safely within the boundaries of our relationship? You know?
Yeah, I was sort of drinking that in. Yeah, that may very well be the case. Huh. You've certainly given me a lot to think about. And shit, you've already given me a lot to think about with just your music and your videos. You're a really enlightening guy.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, after this, I think I including this, most of your stuff has given me a bit more insight into thinking about how I think in a different way, and I think it's a positive thing.
I hope so.
Okay, now I think I've said all that I have to say now, and I'm good if you're good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and I really look forward to your crowdsourcing vinyl. I'll be the first person on that shit, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good night.
You too. Mr. Girl wants to be the only Dr. K on this platform. Get it, Papa. Oh my god, can you imagine if I actually got a PhD so I could literally be Dr. K? Uh-oh. Hold on, guys. I have something I have to handle. Um... Uh... Is Baby mad? Yeah, Baby's pissed. Baby's mad. Mr. Girl, you're great. Thanks. Teach you about my Klaatu aura. I don't know what that is. What's the easiest PhD? That's true. I could get a PhD in anything. Oh, I wonder if I get a PhD in like filmmaking or something. Can you do that? What's the closest thing to what I'm already doing that I can get a PhD in? No, I don't want to be Mr. K. I want to be Dr. K. I want to be the new Dr. K. I watched Primer on your recommendation. It was the most confusing shit. Okay, look at a diagram of what happens in Primer, and it's like mind-blowingly confusing. Okay, I don't actually want to. People keep saying I want to replace Dr. K. That's not true. I have no plans to launch a coaching service. In fact, I will vow to never launch a coaching service or anything like what Dr. K is doing. I will also vow to never take any sponsorship from anyone about anything. And I also vow to never get involved in referring people to mental health services in any specific way other than go to therapy. Find something where your call-in shows can serve as graduate school credit. That school would get shut down. A Doctor of Arts. Yeah. An advice and confessions fast pass. Yeah. You can, for the low price of $500, you can cut the line. Why is Baby pissed off? 'Cause he's fucking crazy. Baby rules with an iron fist. No BetterHelp collab, no. Baby is having a temper tantrum from full diaper. No, my diaper is full because Baby intimidates me so much that I shit myself. Get a PhD in kinesiology. Oh, that sounds pretty boring. How do I, as a patient client, determine if my therapist is qualitative? I think any issues you have with your therapist, you should talk to with your therapist. And if you really have issues, you should talk to another therapist about that. Have you seen The Piano Teacher? I don't think so. I was thinking of The Reader, and I enjoyed watching that. But I don't think I've ever seen The Piano Teacher. My friend is a PhD in creative writing. I am not encouraging this. I'll get a PhD in creative writing. That's a good idea. I want to write more anyway. Oh my god. Feminist dance therapy. This is good. This is good. Okay. I'm ready for the next caller. I think. Yeah, I'm ready.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so I have an advice question.
Okay.
I'm interested in, well, actually, for a very long time, I've been interested in doing content creation. I actually got a GED and then like worked for a film studio for a while. Uh, but I think something that I'm realizing is like I just am having a really hard time starting. Uh, like I can do stuff for other people and like edit video and stuff like that and work on other projects, but I have a lot of trouble just like uh doing my own thing. And since it sounds like you've been kind of doing stuff in that area for a while, figured I'd ask you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've been like, I started writing and like printing out my own newsletters in high school and handing them out in the lunchroom. So I
Right.
feel like I've been like doing my own thing in some form, like kind of forever. Um, have you done anything like that where you were putting yourself out there, sure to face humiliation and ridicule?
I think that's like the biggest, that probably is a component of it because it's I feel like
People are
easy to
super
hide
mean.
behind.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
And I think watching your journey with content and like, you know, I part of being a Mr. Girl fan, I think, is valuing honesty. And then also, I think the terrifying part about being a Mr. Girl fan is realizing how people treat you when you're that honest online.
People are pretty mean.
Right. So I guess within that lies the second question is like, how the fuck do you deal with that?
There's like I think there's an implication of like in what you're saying, but also in general about like the our kind of like narrative about content creation, where it's like if you're a strong person and you believe in yourself and you're telling the truth and you're honest and you're true to yourself, then when people criticize you, you'll persevere and like it's not going to hurt you and it's not going to be bad for you psychologically. It's not going to fuck you up. You're just going to be strong and it'll just bounce off of you and like you'll be happy. Content creation is bad for you. I don't think there's a way around this. It's like working in a coal mine. You're going to get
Right.
lung cancer of some kind. It's going to eventually kill you in some way. And like so I definitely am working really hard to manage that as best I can and try to insulate myself from it and protect myself from it, but also be true to myself and honest with myself and like take care of myself. It's not good for you. And so
Right.
it is hurtful and upsetting. And like I just don't complain about it a lot because I don't like that in content creators. Like I think the audience once you start leaning on the audience for emotional support with the difficulties of being a content creator and most of the abuse is coming from the audience, you're creating like a weird feedback loop that leads to you going insane. And I don't want to. So like I don't complain about it too much, but like people, yeah, it sucks having people being mean to you all the time. Um,
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I guess, and then within that, if you're gonna do content creation, you have to, it's like you're not gonna do content creation and then be happy about it. It's like more that the misery is meaningful, I guess, in a way, which is kind of the boat that I'm in. Um, like I wouldn't
yeah,
ever expect it to be like to be able to deal with it, but at least, you know, not like, you know, go into a psychotic rage or whatever the fuck.
yeah, I
Um,
would be careful. Like when I see content creators on Twitter and they're just like, "Good morning, guys. Look what I had for breakfast." I'm like, "Oh, that person is breaking down. That person now believes that their Twitter followers are their friends. They probably don't have many actual friends in real life that are not connected to somehow money or their fame. And it's like you're putting more and more weight on these parasocial relationships that cannot bear any weight at all. Um,
right.
So I would definitely, my first piece of advice would be to make sure that you keep your friendships and your work separate to whatever extent that you can.
Okay, that's actually pretty good advice because I use like within pretty much every other component of my life, I kind of mix those two.
Yeah, and I think that like so like I'm friends with Jimmy and like I'm dating Shaylin, but those relationships definitely predated any type of success with the channel. I think going forward it'd be very hard for me to have um to do both with people at the same time. It gets really really complicated. I mean, I don't know if you've seen my conversations with Destiny, but like I'm I consider Destiny my friend, and it's a mess. It's
Oh
a
yeah.
total mess for me at least, and like that's why like I talk about it with him all the time. But like if like all my friendships were like I need friends who don't really give that much of a shit about my channel, and you know they're like yeah whatever I'll like my friends are like I'll watch the short videos, but like you know I don't know. And like that kind of works for me. Um,
Right.
Also, um, as for starting, I don't know. What are your choices other than just doing it or not doing it?
Yeah,
Do or
true.
do not. There is no
Yeah,
try.
there's exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't I mean there's ways you can like trick yourself into starting, I guess, or like you could do something more anonymous,
True.
but probably I think you just have to do it. I don't think there's a way around it. I guess I would say like do it with the expectation that it's gonna suck and people are gonna tell you that it's shitty.
Yeah. So maybe like start with like a brand that you're not intending to make your main brand. Maybe that's a
No,
good
no, no, no.
like
Because then if it
mental
blows up, no, no, no. Start with your main
no.
brand. Just be ready for it to evolve. Like my older videos aren't as good, and partly that's because I wasn't as good at the like the format, but it was also because I wasn't as clear on what I wanted to do. Like I wasn't as good at being Mr. Girl, and I wasn't as good at the actual like nuts and bolts of video creation. So I think no, start with your thing that you want to build, but just be aware that like if you're new to it, the parts that you're new to are you're going to be bad at.
Right. Okay.
Like when you look at most new content creators who are starting out and saying like how do you get more subscribers? 99% of the time when you look at their channel, you're like, "Oh, I see why you don't have more subscribers. It's cuz your channel is shitty." And like that's okay. That's just part of being new to something is being bad at it. And um people like PewDiePie who seem like they're just shitting out like crap are deceptively good at what they're doing. It just doesn't seem like it.
Right. I mean, yeah, maybe a similar phenomena is like, if you watch pro esports, I think there's always an inkling like, yeah, I could do that, but you literally
Yeah,
can't tell the difference because you're so bad.
exactly. Or like there are moments when you're playing a game where you do better than someone you're watching like in esports, but their average like skill level of like how well they're playing all the time is like just really high.
Right? Yeah, you
So
try
if you're
harded really fucking hard or got really lucky, but that's
right,
just
and
like
yeah,
in the
so if you compare your peaks to their like average, like yeah, you can convince yourself you're better than them, and like so like I have videos where I'm like, oh, this is better than a PewDiePie video. But if you look at overall, like just his management of his brand and the way he communicates with his audience and his consistency and just everything he's doing, he's obviously really, really good at what he's doing, and to some extent invented what he's doing. And I think
yeah,
that's another piece of content creation is it's not like filmmaking where you're like I'm going to make a movie but I'm going to like put a spin on this type of movie or I'm just going to do a really good job of making like a solid entry in this kind of format. You also like you can just make up a new format. So like, and maybe should, and like tailor whatever you're doing. Like there's really no boundaries around what you can accomplish with content creation, which is cool, but also leads people to copycat each other a lot. And copy like you can get successful copycatting, but there's a ceiling on that. So I also would just think about
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
I think okay. I think something I'm kind of seeing that I'm doing is like every time I want to start a video. So it's like, I'm going to start a video this weekend, and there's like 3 days between then and this weekend. And the idea like gets heavier by the time, like what I mean is like I have more ideas for that idea to the point that like by the time it's the weekend, like that it would literally take like 3 months to do the video because there's so much shit that I want to do. And it's like I get really excited about things that I can't do yet. So I need to be more focused on just making something that's going to be garbage. But I'm like, I don't like that, but I guess I have to be
Um,
okay with that.
I read a Reddit post that I think would be helpful. I can't remember where it was, but it's about making your first video game. And
Mhm.
it's about the exact thing you're talking about, where most first time game designers um, just design projects that are like impossible to complete, basically. And that they're like, you should just start out making Pong. And like
Right.
Pong is it's harder to make than you would think. And like just literally make your own version of Pong, and if you can do that, then you're ready for like the next step of trying something a little harder. Um,
Yeah.
I would like, do you outline stuff? It sounds like you are, but your outlines get like really expansive. But I would just make a really tight, short outline and like a script, and just keep it to like 1 or 2 pages, and just give yourself like a word or like, I don't know, page limit.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay. Yeah, I guess I mean, that's kind of the scope of my question. Yeah.
Um, Trying to think of anything else that's not like obvious that I've like run into. Um, do you have the equipment you need to do this?
Uh, yeah. I mean, like video essays, just like a decent mic and
Yeah.
editing software. I mean, I think I've made it logistically complicated to get started. Um,
Yeah, don't do that.
because I don't have I don't have like currently I'm just an Apple laptop. I can go to the uni to edit, but that's just I'm never gonna do that. So I think maybe a big first step is like making it logistically easy to make videos again.
Yeah. Just make them. I think, I don't know. You'll run into
Hmm.
problems and then solve them as you run into them. I think it's an iterative process where like you have to make some bad videos. That's
Yeah.
part of making good videos, is putting out bad videos and seeing response, and then,
Yeah.
you
Mr. Girl,
know,
I want to play the guitar, and the first time I play the guitar, I want it to be perfect.
right. Exactly. I think I talked to somebody who said that exact thing.
And they did that, right?
The first time they played it, it was perfect.
Yeah.
They said they were comparing themselves to Paul McCartney.
Oh boy.
All right, I think that's all I have to say about this.
Yep. Sounds good.
Make your videos.
Thanks for your time.
You're welcome. No therapy. That's the first time in a long time I've not told someone to go to therapy. Go to therapy, be safe. Thanks, buddy. Yeah. What is your favorite food? Do I like the Star Wars sequels? I like The Last Jedi. I like The Last Jedi. I've been thinking of making a response video to Vito's Last Jedi is a cinematic failure review for like a year or two. I like The Last Jedi. It's got a lot of problems, but it's definitely my favorite of the sequels. I don't like The Force Awakens or Rise of Skywalker. My favorite food? I think sushi. I know you don't want to do referrals, but can you talk about how to find a good therapist? It can be frustratingly difficult, and I know you had issues with it in the past. The only advice I will give about how to find a good therapist is that you should tell your therapist about any issues you have with your therapist. I don't want to give any. I can't be responsible for. I don't know how to find a fucking therapist. I got banned from the UCLA psychology clinic. Try many. That's probably good. The Last Jedi was pretty good. Shame it got wasted completely. Yeah, yeah. The fucking Rise of Skywalker really wasted everything that he set up. Kind of sucks. Is the Dr. K video going to be a school for the gifted style? I don't think so. It didn't seem appropriate for the professor. It's too focused on one person and like attacking them. The professor is a little more um, of a pacifist. Just start creating is simultaneously the best and most useless advice possible. I know it's hard to give advice that somebody's like, I know what I know what I have to do. I just don't know if I have the strength to do it. I'm like, you just got to turn on that lightsaber, baby. Okay. Baby, I'm ready for the next caller.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
I'm all right. How are you?
Um, uh, Obviously not too good if I'm on this show, but I'm
That's
doing
true.
alright.
You're in dire straits if you're here.
Right. Um, so I have a bit of a long story, so I will hit the bullet points, and
Okay.
you can just kind of tell me if you want more details.
Okay.
Um, so in summary, this is kind of about a breakup that went very badly. Um, so it kind of all went to shit when we moved in together, as you know, most relationships do.
Yeah.
Um, but she was pretty severely mentally ill. I drove her to the mental hospital on multiple occasions, and she started smoking weed um, while she got a diagnosis for bipolar. And I don't know if you know the research on that, but weed and bipolar are a very bad combination. Um, and so it just kind of exacerbated her symptoms, um, and she wouldn't stop. Um, so eventually it got toxic enough to where she broke up with me. I wasn't gonna do it to her. I think maybe I felt bad. I was trying to help her, you know, savior complex and all that shit. Um, and so she broke up with me the day before classes started, which was kind of shit. Um, and she gave me a bunch of bullshit reasons, but I think the main one was I didn't really love her, um, which is a fair reason to break up with somebody. Um, the kind of shitty part is what happened after that, which is she started dating girls pretty much immediately after while I was still
Wait,
living in the
sorry.
Woods.
Say that one more time. She started dating what?
Dating girls immediately after we broke up, like within the week. Um,
Okay.
and then I eventually moved out. Um, and a couple weeks later, I was kind of self isolating, so I didn't hear much from her. But a couple weeks later, she calls me screaming that she is pregnant, um, which was a bit of a shock. Um, so I told her I could bring her another test tomorrow or the next day. Um, and she said, "No, fuck you, come over right now, or I'm gonna block you on everything and don't ever talk to me again." Um, so I was talking with my therapist at the time and trying to set good boundaries with people. So I said, "No, I'm gonna come over tomorrow." So she blocked me on everything and stopped talking to me. Um, and so a couple weeks later, I needed to come get my shit. I had to go through like multiple friends to try and get in contact with her. Um, but when I showed up to the house, um, she had thrown all my shit off the balcony. Um, and she put the mirror, like a big ass mirror, outside. And she had written on it, um, "You know what you did? You raped me." Um, which was the first time I heard of that. Um, and I just kind of left with my shit and didn't say anything to her. Um, as I was leaving, she yelled out after me, "You made this shit too easy." Um, and I just left. Um, then after that, all of the friends that I had in common with her, which was pretty much all my friends, stopped talking to me. I don't know why. I mean, you could make an educated guess, but I never actually got a reason from them. Um, and then I heard through the grapevine a little while later that one of the friends that had ghosted me was trying to sleep with her. And she ended up, this was a whole sidebar where she ended up rejecting him by telling him she was a lesbian, and then he told everyone that she was sexually manipulating him. Um, so it's a shit show everywhere. Um, but basically the situation now is I have no friends. I'm living with my parents again. Um, and everything seems kind of shit.
How long ago was this?
About 6 months.
Are you asking me for advice?
Um, I guess
Are you,
there's two ways you could kind of take this. The
okay.
first is I kind of just want to know how to stop feeling like shit. Um, the other way is I don't really have a good narrative for what happened. Um, I feel a lot like it was my fault where I deserved it. And I haven't really been able to talk about it with anybody or, have people explain to me why shit happened the way it did because they all blocked me. So I don't really know how to think about it either.
I have spent many months or even years trying to understand what other people are thinking in relationships after they do something that seems like inexplicable.
Mm.
And it, there may not be a answer that makes sense because she might not be thinking in the way that you think or that the average or normal person thinks.
Yeah.
And whatever she's thinking, it may not have any bearing on what you're thinking and what you're feeling and what you're going through. Like, her narrative of what happened or what is happening, it might be nice for it to have some closure to like understand what it is, but it might not be as important as you think. I think you not having a narrative is a pretty big problem, and that you may need to form one. And obviously, I'm going to recommend you go to therapy to do that. Rather than trying to figure out hers or your friends or ex-friends, and
So
it just sounds like you don't know what happened to you, and you don't know.
yeah, I kind of got hit by a fucking bus, and I'm still confused.
Yeah, and like, I don't think you can look to her to help you get unconfused. Whatever she says, I don't know that it matters.
So I guess my question is, what do you think?
What do I think happened?
Yeah.
Um, I think that you ended up in a relationship where you couldn't have boundaries to any reasonable extent.
Probably fair.
And it sounds like you eventually realized you needed them. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
wait, you're already in therapy, right? You said you were talking to your therapist.
Right.
Okay. So to me telling you to go to therapy is not helpful.
Well, I can keep going.
Well, great. But I forgot that you just said that you were in therapy. I think you're in a relationship where you couldn't set boundaries, and I understand that you thought that the ticking time bomb of your ex would not explode if you could somehow get her to break up with you, and you were wrong.
Yeah, I have a habit of making that mistake specifically. But even more than that, I thought when it exploded that it wouldn't be directed at me. And I was very wrong.
Yeah, because even when she breaks up with you, she's probably hoping that you're going to say, "No, of course I love you. How can you do this to me?" Instead, you were like, "Oh, okay." And and I think this is common in all relationships. When you break up with somebody, there's part of you that wants to stay together and part of you that wants to break up. And you're obviously conflicted. If the day before you were in the relationship and the next day it's not like all of a sudden you're just done. And if the person seems happy to go and doesn't seem conflicted and seems like they were even more ready to break up than you were, that is like anybody's going to experience that as a rejection. But especially if you're like, really psychologically fragile, then like it makes sense to me that she reacted badly, and I understand why you thought you could escape it and why you wanted to, but obviously it didn't work. Um, and then yeah, immediately holding your potential baby hostage to try to force you to have no boundaries definitely reinforces my thought that um, your boundaries might have been the problem and like impetus for the breakup in some way. But like that's just how I see it. Like I don't. That's my narrative of what happened. I don't know. The I think the problem is that you don't know what happened, and I don't think that other people. I guess hearing other people like give you feedback about what happened can be helpful, and like I can sort of synthesize your broad stroke story into like what I think happened. But I feel like you need to learn how to do that for yourself.
I think there's an aspect of talking to other people that helps with that, and that's what I was kind of hoping. Is, I think I would have been able to figure it out had I had friends to talk with it about, and I just didn't have that. So I'm still in limbo of not really understanding. And so the solution probably is, go make friends and talk to them about it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good idea.
but yeah, doesn't help when you're, depressed, and that's hard to do.
Yeah,
Not to make excuses.
not to make excuses. I mean, if your friends are also held hostage
Mm-hmm.
by your relationship or ex, it's hard to call them friends for real.
That's what the therapist said.
But
Yeah.
I'm not to diminish the rug being pulled out from underneath you. I'm almost saying it's a bigger rug than you are acknowledging. That like finding out that your friends are can be yanked away from you like that is like a pretty big deal.
Um, yeah, I've had this happen before as well, where friend groups kind of explode and leave me in the dust. Uh, and I don't think having gone through that before has made it easier. I think it's made it worse.
Yeah.
Because I'm just kind of always expecting that to happen and hoping that it doesn't. And then I'm just um, getting proven time and time again that um, it's just going to happen. So I guess that's another question is um, how much of this is my fault? And what am I doing wrong that this keeps happening?
I would guess that to whatever extent it's your fault is probably something you're doing in the setting up of the relationships more than both with your ex and your friends. It just seems like they're being like kind of retroactively revealed to you that the foundations of these relationships are a lot shakier than you thought. And then the more kind of like trepidatious and careful you become, the more likely you are to enter into more shaky relationships. But again, this is going off like very, very little information. So I don't.
I think the things you have been saying are ringing true. Um,
Yeah, but that might just be because I'm saying them.
I've had similar thoughts. It's comforting to hear somebody else say them. Or comforting might not be the right word, but um, validating.
Yeah, it might be that you're being too nice when you meet new people.
I think that's a solid theory. And I need to be careful about that.
If you offer to not burden new friends, they will probably take you up on the offer. And then later when you need to burden them, it'll be a total coin toss as to whether they're up for
So the prescription now is make friends and burden them.
it. Yeah, just be more of an asshole.
Okay, I can do that.
The prescription is to talk to your therapist about this conversation and see what they think.
I plan to do it.
All right.
Thank you for the talk.
You're welcome.
Do I just pop out? Or are you gonna kick me?
I'll kick you. No,
Awesome.
either one. Yeah, I'm gonna
No,
put you
kick
back in the
me.
waiting
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw you back in the sea.
Nice. See if I can swim.
That's right. All right, bye.
See ya.
Join the military. uh, Toin costs. I didn't say that. Okay. That's it for callers. I'm going to read the donations. Hopefully there aren't too many, because I have to go soon. 43 seconds to go. Yeah, I'm going to leave. I'll read the donations and I'll come back and talk a little bit more, but I have to leave pretty soon because I got to finish this Dr. K video. There's a lot writing on it. Okay, tip history. We have I'm trying to figure out which of these I've read already. Okay, we have 2 to read. JB gave me $5. If you're unfamiliar, check out the trailer for My Father the Hero. Here's the IMDb logline. A teenage girl on vacation in the Bahamas with her divorced father tries to impress a potential boyfriend by saying that her father is actually her lover. Thank you. Lithic Disciple gave me $5. Do you have or think you'll ever get a P.O. box? I think it'd be cool to gift you a piece of art that I've created in return for you sharing yours. Thanks for the videos and streams. I get a good bit of benefit from them. Yeah, I think I will. I'm not there yet. I got to figure out the right way to share that. But I have a virtual mailbox, so let me make sure it's the right thing to do, and then I might share it. But I appreciate the idea and the donation and the question. Mr. Girl's a shill being paid by Big Therapy to promote and encourage people to do therapy. I have found you out. No. About how long is the Dr. K video? I don't know. At least an hour, I think. Are you getting burnt out on the Sunday streams? No. No. I'm burnt out from editing this Dr. K video like 10 hours a day. If anything. I think also doing the Dr. K video is making me think carefully about the Sunday streams and making sure I'm not breaking my own ethics code here. I mean, I know I'm not a therapist, but I want to be careful about what we're doing here. Is the Dr. K video more or less girthy than a Pringles can? I would say more. How often do you find yourself rewatching the entire video in the editing process? For an hour-long video, once. In totality, probably just once. In a short video, like a bunch of times. I'll watch each section of it a bunch of times. Do you dislike Dr. K because he is brown? No, I don't dislike anybody because of their race, creed, religion, gender identity, or sexual orientation. Enlighten me how a video can be girthy. I will. Once I post this Dr. K video, you're going to feel exactly what that feels like. Just got here. Not sure if he's already said the release date. Yeah, I think in the next 12 to 24 hours. Did you ask any lawyers to review your claims against Dr. K? Yeah, I think I'm going to be interviewing a malpractice lawyer in the next week or so. I was going to put it in the video, but I think the video needs to really be about ethics. So, yeah. I commit arsons and masturbate to the fires I start. I've been doing this in South Florida for 4 months now. How do I stop this? One fire got a little too close to a neighborhood once, and I haven't been able to shake the guilt since. How do you stop the arson part, the masturbation part, or the guilt? Those are 3 different questions. But ultimately, I would say you should probably go to therapy. Do you like Dr. K because he is brown? Not specifically. I wouldn't even say I like Dr. K, although he has likable moments. I don't think I like him very much. Any thoughts or analysis on the Ukraine situation? No. I want to know more about it before I start spouting. We need therapy emote. Yeah, we need to go to therapy emote and a shirt. I think hopefully in the next week or two, I think. Well, you know what? It takes a long time for Twitch to approve these emote uploads. I gotta upload it and wait like several days. We've got 2 more donations. Anonymous gave me $5. If a caller seems immediately suicidal, what will you do? Just trust mods will vet them effectively. If a caller seems immediately suicidal, I will call 911 and I will tell them everything I know about the person. Thank you. Trinonymous gave me $1. Keep up the good work, Dad. I parasocially love you. Thanks for the $1, Trinonymous. I'll do my best. For yet another $1. You get automatic instant approval when you're a partner. Yeah. Can I prevent you from talking to a streamer if I donate and ask you to talk to the streamer? I don't know. I don't think so. No. You can't control me with your filthy fucking money. Do you have any preconceptions about how your Dr. K video will be received? I think it needs to be gripping enough and kind of move fluidly enough that people can watch it on a live stream. I feel like that's going to be kind of how it spreads. I think a lot of people will watch it organically, but I want people to watch it, comment on it, and talk about it, and I want it to ripple through like a fucking tsunami that comes through the Twitch politics sphere and just thwaps Healthy Gamer right in the fucking face. So I think I think I need that to happen in order for any chance of Dr. K feeling like he has to respond to this. And I think that's kind of imperative. I think Dr. K has to be held accountable in the public sphere and the professional sphere. And I'm in charge of the public sphere, of starting this, getting the ball rolling. So I think the video needs to be kind of interesting and like grab you. But it also, the thing is that the rules he's breaking are really boring to explain. Like, you can't practice therapy outside of a doctor-patient relationship. Well, how the fuck do you explain in a series of flashy clips that something didn't happen? Like, you know, that's kind of like a weird amorphous thing to try to prove. And then to try to prove that it is therapy, and it's like, so it's a balance. Like I could really lay it all out. If I had a 3-hour runtime, I could definitely, without a doubt, prove all the shit I'm saying. The question is, how interesting can I make it? Yeah. So luckily, I think I'm a pretty good editor, so I do think I'll accomplish that. I think it'll be received pretty well. I think people will be convinced. I've got a lot of comments on my last conversation with Not So Erudite, where people are like, oh, you know what? Now that you put it this way, I'm on your side. You changed my mind. So I think it'll be pretty compelling. Isn't that the mob that Erudite was talking about, though? No, I'm not talking about an angry mob harassing him. I don't want anybody to harass him. I'm talking about his own audience saying like, well, hey, wait a second. What happened here? What is the answer? What's the answer to these questions? The same way that you guys are asking me questions. I just want him to feel like he has to answer. I don't want him to feel harassed, harangued, scared, anything of the sort. I just want him to answer. I want to hold him accountable. I want Destiny to watch it so I'll know what my opinion is on it. Well, I hope he will watch it. I think I'm going to make it safe for Twitch guidelines. The most upsetting parts of it were already on Twitch on Dr. K's stream, so it should be okay. Reckful wasn't even in the state where he was licensed, right? So he can't do a patient and doctor relationship, right? Yeah, well, yeah, so there's the ethics and the legal side. So legally, correct. Legally, they could not because Dr. K was not licensed in Texas. I suspect you could do therapy in a state where you're not licensed and not get in trouble for the ethics part if you did the therapy ethically, but still get in trouble for the licensing part. Although, when you're a doctor, there is an ethical concern to not being licensed, where the person can't really hold you accountable because, like, Reckful's family could contact the, I was going to say Reckful could have, but I don't think he ever really went sour on Dr. K. If Reckful's family went sour on Dr. K, they could contact the Texas licensing board, but Dr. K is not licensed in Texas. I guess they could contact the Massachusetts licensing board, which is what I've done, and say like, hey, he was doing this shit in Texas. He's licensed in Massachusetts. But the mechanisms to hold them accountable are just not there. So I do think there is a ethical problem with practicing medicine unlicensed. It sounds like you want your video to start snowballing, but that will inevitably result in what Erudite was talking about. Obviously, you want Dr. K to get hurt. No, I don't want... What do you mean by hurt? I want Dr. K to lose his license, and I want him to lose this PR war. Dr. K and I are in a PR war, where he is calling me malicious, saying I can't be healthily engaged with, basically attacking my credibility. And I am saying that he is breaking ethics guidelines and that he should lose his license and that he is culpable in Reckful's death. So we are both saying terrible things about each other, but he's not encouraged anybody to harass me, and I don't feel harassed by anything he said. And I think he has largely convinced his employees and then from thenceforth his community that they shouldn't listen to me and that I'm malicious and crazy. And that's fine. They're not harassing me. He's allowed to do that. He can defend himself by saying those things about me. I have no problem with that whatsoever. He's not encouraging people to brigade me. He's not hate rating me. He's not saying anything threatening to me or encouraging people to do that. He's toward me. He's he's been a perfect gentleman so far, and I want to respect those ethical rules of like online communication myself. I don't want any harassment or hurt. I don't want anybody to get hurt. Your point of interrupting a person's process, teach them a religious word, and having them breathe. Yeah, that does not help a person long term. Yeah, it gets you high. It, literally, it just takes a new foreign frame, stretches it over your own thinking of what's happening, gets you high, tells you you're going to be okay, pats you on the back, and sends you on your way. And it looks like your trauma is fucking fine. Reckful's living brother had a random interview, and he was very upset about the situation too with Dr. K. I have not interviewed Reckful's living brother. He's not involved. I sent him an email, and I said, if you want to be involved, you can, but your participation in this is kind of irrelevant. Like, it doesn't really matter what you think. The rules were broken. I can demonstrate the rules were broken. I have professionals who will say, like, on camera, these are the rules, and I can show that they're broken. And like, it doesn't really have anything to do with whatever personal harm you felt was caused. However, I also don't want to exclude your voice. So if you want to say something, like, you can get on camera and say something, but like, I just wanted to make the offer because I didn't want to like exclude him. This dude is a sick fuck. I don't know if you're talking about me or Dr. K. Oh, it's Stay Positive. You're the hate watcher that my community was talking about you earlier today. Mr. Girl's taking his daddy issues out on Mr. Girl. This is beyond fucked. I think, well, that's true, but I think you meant Dr. K, and that is also true. Dr. K is going to be hurt inevitably. I don't know what you mean by hurt. I need you to define hurt. If his feelings are going to be hurt, yeah, probably. His career is going to be hurt. I fucking hope so, because he's a dangerous fucking person, and I think he is hurting people and needs to be stopped. So if stopping him from continuing these online irresponsible ethics and law breaking therapy sessions is hurting him, like, I just don't think that's hurting him. I think he should be discredited. I think his license should be taken away, and I think he should stop doing much of his online activity. But I don't want any harm, to be clear again, I don't want any harm to come to him. I was one of Reckful's friends, and I meant to message you at some point. Have you managed to talk to many of his friends? Most of the stuff was new info to me, other than the stuff Yoni put up on YouTube a while ago. I've talked to a couple of them. I haven't interviewed anyone. If you have something you want to say to me, just DM me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is the same as my Twitch handle, and I read all my DMs. Thank you for being honest to a fault. I wish everyone lived like that. Sometimes I wonder what it would be like if everybody was like me. Could be pretty uncomfortable. But thank you for the compliment. It seems like you're muddying legality and morality a lot. You lose people when you focus too much on legality and don't make moral arguments. Yeah, I think I mean, the video is pretty focused on the ethics part. And there is some intersection between the legality and the ethics. But I see what you're saying. It would be, the video would backfire if what people come away with is, oh, those are the rules? That's the law? Well, those are stupid laws and stupid rules. Dr. K is, doing good, and the rules are dumb, and we don't need to break them. Your faces are going to be so red when I am proven right. The mob will turn on him. I think that's the point. Nobody can account for what the mob does. This was Erudite's point. Well, if a mob... again, I don't know what you mean by turn on him. I do want public opinion to turn against Dr. K. I don't want that to result in harm. I will do everything I can to make that clear going forward, and make this the safest like dismantling of somebody's online presence as possible. Will you ever do IRL streams? I don't know. Probably. Please tell stream when the next live stream will be. I am moderating a body image panel with Stardust and Cherry and possibly one other person on Wednesday. However, after I post this, I'm also streaming with Chud Logic on Thursday. I think after I post this, I will shake down my contacts and ask everybody if anybody wants to talk about the Dr. K video and respond to whatever invitations I get. So I plan on doing quite a bit of streaming this week to talk about it. I might host a Criticize Mr. Girl stream and have people come and can give rebuttals if they want to talk about the Dr. K video. So I think I'm going to just be streaming a lot this week, and you should look at my Twitter, I think, for those announcements, or you could look at my stream schedule. What's the ETA on the vid now? I'm going to say the next 12 to 24 hours, hoping closer to 12. Curious your thoughts on Dr. Drew versus Dr. K, both in the celebrity doctor space. Seems like Dr. Drew has spent several decades in this position, wondering how he skirts that line. My understanding is Dr. Drew does not have ongoing relationships with people, and I think the fact that it's like on a set. I haven't watched Dr. Drew, so I shouldn't say anything. I'm guessing people don't get the feeling that Dr. Drew is their doctor, even for the time that they're talking. But I don't know. It might be the same shit. When is the Dr. K video coming? It's the next 12 to 24 hours. Something about that. That's the goal. I got a lot of work to do. Did you say anything about Updog in your video? What's Updog? Dr. K also has become the private therapist of Pokimane, has done private sessions with Lily Pichu, did private sessions with Rekful, or at least one private session with Lily Pichu. Dr. Drew ain't telling people to DM him if they feel suicidal, and he'll come and help you with a private session. Dr. K is seemingly methodically installing himself as the private therapist to some of Twitch's most powerful streamers, while he is also a streamer on the same platform, and while his business has a sponsorship deal with Twitch. Dr. Drew, I assume, is not doing anything that fucking conflict-ridden. Are you nervous? No. I get nervous about the impact that this is going to have. I'm not nervous about the video being bad. I feel like it'll be pretty good. Oh, so I think it's honestly, if I just post it, well, it's a kind of a mess now, but I feel like it's gonna be pretty good. Did you see that Steve Jobs died of ligma? No, what is ligma? Please tell me more. You're a sports fan at all, Mr. Girl? Did you watch the Super Bowl? No, I didn't. I was here streaming. Have you seen the old cartoon Underdog? I don't know. It sounds familiar. What's your opinion on Mufat talking to Dr. K? The word Mufat comes from a joke Mervs made one day. Do you know who Joe Mufat is? What's Mufat? Mufat nuts. Good thing Urban Dictionary is here to fucking save me. What do you think of the Joker movie from 2019? I actually made a video about it. It's called How Joker Affected Me. It's on my main channel. Ooh, what happened at SawCon last year might be important for... Okay, motherfuckers. I think that it's time to call this stream a wrap. I appreciate your attendance. I need to go finish this video. Tony Hawk has a brother. His name is Mike. Jesus fucking Christ. Give your best Joker laugh. No. No. No, no, no. And I thought my jokes were bad. Thank you for coming. See you next stream. See you on the other side of this video. I don't know what's going to happen. Things could get a little tense around here. The name of the video? You'll see. You'll see. Where you going? You know where you're going. Be good to your Auntie Stardust.